The first thing you should admit to yourself is this: makeup isn't only about beauty, it's about control. It's about walking into a room and deciding, before anyone else gets to decide, what they're going to see when they look at you. For some women, it's soft and playful, like color on a canvas. For others, it's armor. For others, it's a mask they learned to wear so early that my face and my face in public became two different people. And if you're watching this right now, you've probably felt that split in some form. Even if you don't wear makeup at all, you've felt what it's like to be perceived. You felt how fast people decide who you are. Because the eerie part is how little time it takes. In research where people rated women's faces, cosmetics changed judgments of attractiveness, competence, likability, and trustworthiness even when faces were shown for only 250 milliseconds. That's not enough time to get to know someone. That's a blink. That's your brain deciding before you've even finished looking. And once you realize that, you start to understand why makeup is so psychologically powerful. It's a tool that interacts with the most primitive parts of social life, the part where your brain is sorting safe, valuable, respectable, high status, not me, maybe her, and it's doing it before logic even arrives. So when you ask why women wear makeup, don't start with the stereotype of vanity. Start with the fact that society runs on snap judgments, and women are often judged harder, faster, and more publicly on appearance. Makeup becomes a way to negotiate that reality. It's not always a free choice, and it's not always a forced one either. It's often something in between, a decision made under pressure that doesn't feel like pressure because it's been normalized for so long. Researchers who ask women directly about their motivations don't find one simple answer. They find clusters, using makeup to express different versions of the self, to enhance confidence, for fun and creativity, and for identity and social meaning. That's already a more human picture. One woman uses it to feel more like herself, another uses it to feel like someone else for a while, another uses it because it's the only part of the day that feels like hers, and another uses it because the world punishes her when she doesn't. And context changes everything. In a study on situational context, women reported intending to apply makeup more diligently for party context compared to everyday contexts, and intentions rose in contexts where women expected an attractive man to be present, with impression management motives playing a role. This matters because it shows makeup isn't just a habit, it's a social strategy that turns up or down depending on what the situation demands. Your face becomes a dial you adjust based on who might be watching, what you want, what you fear, and what you've learned you'll be rewarded for. Now let's go somewhere most people avoid because it's uncomfortable: the internal effect. Makeup doesn't only change how others see you, it can change how you see yourself in the moment. In an experimental study, women rated themselves as more feminine, healthier, and higher in self-esteem with makeup than without. And these self-ratings rose further when makeup was actually applied compared to only imagining it. This is where makeup starts looking less like deception and more like mood technology. It's a ritual that can shift self-perception in real time. It can make you feel more ready, more confident, more aligned with the version of yourself you want to be seen as. If you've ever watched someone's whole energy change after they finish getting ready, that's what you're witnessing. Not just pigment, a transition, a signal to the nervous system that says, now you can go out, now you can handle people. And rituals like that are especially attractive in times when you feel uncertain because they give you a sense of control over at least one variable, your presentation. But here's the part that gets darker. The same tool that can make you feel stronger can also pull you into a trap where you feel weaker without it. Because once your brain learns that you're treated better with makeup, more respect, more attention, more warmth, it can start to believe you are not fully acceptable as you are. And the world provides plenty of reinforcement for that belief. In multiple studies, women wearing makeup are often perceived by others as more attractive and more competent. That sounds positive until you realize what it implies. Without it, you may be penalized. And this beauty premium isn't only social, it can show up in decisions that involve trust and value. In a trust game experiment, researchers found that women were trusted more when wearing makeup than when not. and that increased attractiveness helped explain larger transfers to women with makeup, especially from male participants. If you're hearing this and thinking, so makeup is basically a cheat code, be careful. A cheat code is optional, a system that rewards you for doing something and subtly punishes you for not doing it, becomes a pressure pipeline. It becomes one more way the world says, perform or pay. Now there's a second trap that's even more unsettling, the double bind. Makeup can raise perceived confidence and trust in split-second impressions, but heavier makeup can also trigger stereotypes. In one study, faces with heavier self-applied makeup were perceived as more attractive and more socio-sexual than light makeup, and any makeup increased perceived competence. Translation: the same act that helps you be taken more seriously can also make people assume things about your sexual intent, so you end up navigating a narrow corridor, trying to look put together, but not too much, trying to look professional, but not fake, trying to look effortless, while doing something that literally takes effort. And there's evidence that makeup can invite objectifying perceptions in certain conditions. Research in the European Journal of Social Psychology investigated how cosmetics can affect self-objectification and how others objectify women and work. Summarized around this line of research describes that makeup can sometimes be linked to more objectifying judgments, including harsher assumptions about a woman's character depending on the look and the perceiver. That's the cruelest part. You can do the thing you're socially pressured to do and still be punished for doing it wrong. A face becomes a negotiation you can never fully win. So why keep wearing it? Because humans adapt to the environment they live in. If you learn that makeup gives you smoother interactions, you'll reach for it even if you resent it. If you learn that you're treated as more competent when you look a certain way, you'll feel pressure to keep looking that way, especially in workplaces and social spaces where first impressions decide who gets patience, who gets promoted, who gets listened to, and who gets forgiven. And because these judgments can happen in a fraction of a second, you can't outlogic them in the moment. Your words may arrive after the verdict. There's also a status element that many people pretend isn't there. Makeup can function like a visible signal of effort, resources, and self-management. Even when the products are affordable, the practice itself communicates something. I prepared, and preparation is a kind of social currency. People read it as discipline, seriousness, competence, even if that's not fair. That's why makeup is often framed as professional, even though no one calls a man's bare face unprofessional. That double standard is part of the psychology, too. Makeup becomes a way to meet a standard that women are often punished for not meeting, even when the standard is arbitrary. And sometimes makeup is simply joy. That's important to say plainly because people love to collapse this topic into oppression or vanity. Makeup can be art, it can be identity play, it can be a community, it can be culture, it can be a private pleasure. The motivation study I mentioned earlier explicitly includes fun, creativity, and well-being as part of why women use cosmetics. Some women wear makeup in ways that feel like reclaiming their face from everyone else's expectations. Some women don't wear it at all for the same reason. Both can be acts of agency, depending on what's driving them. And then there's what happens when the world feels unstable. The so-called lipstick effect is the idea that during economic downturns, people may increase spending on smaller luxuries like cosmetics. Evidence using U.S. consumer expenditure data found increased average cosmetic spending among younger women during the Great Recession. Experimental work has also found that when women were exposed to recession cues, their desire for beauty products rose compared to control conditions. You can interpret that cynically, like, people are shallow, or you can interpret it psychologically. When life feels uncontrollable, people reach for controllable forms of self-enhancement, small rituals that restore a sense of agency, even briefly. If you want the deepest psychological explanation, it's this. Makeup sits at the intersection of two forces that shape human life. The first is the hunger to be seen, chosen, respected, and safe. The second is the fear of being judged, dismissed, or reduced to a surface. Makeup can help with the first while feeding the second. It can be both a bridge and a cage. It can be self expression and self surveillance, sometimes on the same morning. So I want you to do something uncomfortable. If you wear makeup, imagine going without it for a week, not because you should, but as an experiment in truth. What feeling rises first? Anxiety about being judged, a sense of freedom, grief, relief, anger? If you don't wear makeup, imagine wearing it for a week, not to become someone else, but to watch how the world responds to you. Does it feel like power? Does it feel like performance? Does it feel like a costume you can't wait to remove? Your reaction will tell you what role makeup plays in your psychology: protection, play, pressure, or protest. And if you're listening as someone who judges women for wearing it or not wearing it, ask yourself why you need their face to mean something about their character. Because that impulse, turning appearance into morality, is part of the same system that makes makeup feel necessary in the first place. In the end, the psychology behind women who wear makeup isn't a single type of woman. It's a world that makes appearance matter, a brain that responds to reward and judgment, and a person trying to navigate both without losing herself. Makeup is rarely just makeup. It's a tool for shaping perception in a society where perception can decide how gently or harshly you are treated. And once you understand that, the question stops being, why would she do that? And becomes, what does the world reward? What does it punish? And how much of our identity gets built in the space between the two?